Hey everyone, this is Sasha bringing you a video tutorial today from BP for You. And today we're going to talk about some of these other options over here. So the first option that we have is the map module. Now we can use this to add some more metadata to our photos so that we can tag them to a place over here. So we can add a location or some saved locations here. And here we have our My Locations. I don't have any locations in there currently. We can zoom in on our map and we can pan and we can move around. Now all this does is it allows you to decide where exactly that you have taken your photos. So maybe if you traveled around a lot, then you could tag the photos into the locations that you took them at. And so here we can add our metadata up here. And so here we can do location. And so we can put in our sublocation, the city, the province, the country, the country code, the GPS, the altitude. We can give it a caption. And then we can sync that metadata with other photos as well. And it just allows you to be able to go back later and sort through your photos to find a location that you may have taken one of your photos at. So next we have this book module, and this kind of helps us and walks us through creating a photo book. So up here we can do a blurb, a PDF, or a JPEG. Down here we can choose our size. We can choose the cover that we want the book to be in, a hardcover wrap, hardcover dust jacket, or a soft cover. We can choose our paper type here, and we can choose whether we want the logo on the page or not. You can see if you leave it on that the price is discounted. And then it gives us an estimated price, and you can choose what money system that you prefer to view that in. Down here, we have a layout that we can change. And so we can see that we have these presets here. Oops. And we also have these layouts here. And so we can look at all of these different types of layouts. You can see there are tons of them that you can go through here and look into to pick what kind of layout that you want for your page. Here you can decide whether you want the guides on the photo or not. If you had cells, then you could decide whether you wanted the cell padding. If you had captioned your photos back in the library module, then you could use those captions here in your book so that you could have those as part of your memories, and you would be able to change your font and your paragraph style. And here we have a background. Now you can choose to have a background or not. As we scroll down through here, you can see that photo is on the background. You can change the opacity, and then you can further change the color from there, the background color, and how you want that to look. And so when you have got your book all done and you're happy with it, you can clear it here. You can save it here, and you can send it to blurb here, or whatever mode that you had chose to use for that. The next panel is our slideshow panel, and this is a pretty simple panel to work with. So we can use the selected photos, which is, well, we can use all photos, which is all of the ones down here. The selected photos would be if we only selected a couple of photos and we clicked on that. And then we could use our flagged photos if we had any that were flagged. You can cycle through your pictures here to kind of see and get an idea as to what that would look like. So you can create some shadowing behind your photos back here. and you can play with the angle, the radius, and the offset of that. You can decide again whether or not you want to see those guides and which ones that you want to see. You can create an identity plate here, and you can decide whether you want that to be up here or not. And so here you could change the text of that, or you could leave that there. It's a little bit hard to see because it kind of blends in with the mountains. There, if I change the color, you can see it now. You can see the word Lightroom up here in the corner. Again, here we have our watermark, which you can put on your picture or you can leave it off. You can decide whether or not you want to see your rating stars up here in the corner. Here we have these text overlays, and you can decide if you want them or not. And it is just three little lines that are down here in the bottom that you can't really see right now because it's blending in with the flowers. Here we have a color wash on our background image, and you can decide whether you want that or not, and you can choose a different background image by dragging and dropping it up here into that image box, and you can lower the opacity if you want it lowered, or you can leave it strong by removing that color wash. That's completely up to you. If you don't want a background image, then you can always adjust your background color. So you can decide if you want an intro screen and what you want it to say, and then you can choose your font up here, and if you want it bold italic or bold italic, you can choose your size and the color of that. And then we can scale it here. And then we have an ending screen, and again we can decide what we want that to say. We can decide the font of that up here. I'm trying to find something a little unique. We can scale it here. We can change the color of it here by clicking override color. And then of course we can change the background color of that screen as well by clicking ending screen and background color. So here we can add a soundtrack, and we can select music from off of our computer. We can decide the slide duration, which we can pull down or we can pull that up. We can decide if we want to fade and how long we want that to be. You can decide whether you want it in a random order, on repeat, or prepared views in advance. And when you're ready, you can click play. And you can see that our slideshow starts playing. You can see our identity plate in the corner. You can see our star ratings on the photos that have them. I see my drop shadow there, and my watermark is on the pictures. And there's our ending screen letting us know that our slideshow is finished. So making a slideshow is super easy to do, and you can make that. It was super quick to make. Lightroom takes care of most of the hard work for you. So again, here we can make these print, in our print module, we can print some photos. And so we can make a single image, a picture package, or a custom package, and we've got these templates over here that we can click on to make our picture package with, or we could click on custom package, and let's see, a template here. The custom package, you can add photos in yourself. We can do like a 5x7, 4x6, and we can drag and drop those in there, and then they would be ready for printing for us. We can choose whether we want to see the guides again. We can add a photo border, and we can choose whether we want to see how big that photo border is, and we can do an inner stroke, and again how big that we want that to be. We can adjust the cell height, and the cell width, and we can rotate it, or we can rotate it back, and you can come over here and you can move that. You can select a page color, in this case is white. You can give it an identity plate if you wanted to, or you could leave that off. Your watermark, you can add your watermark, or you can turn that off. You can turn on cut guidelines for when you have it printed and you know where to cut the picture. You can decide where you want to print this to, and you can send it to your printer, or you can save it as a JPEG file. Here we have draft mode printing. We can decide our print resolution. We can decide whether we want print sharpening, which I usually keep on standard. And then we let it know whether we're printing on matte or glossy paper. And the color management, you can do manage by printer or Pro Photo RGB or other. And if you wanted to make an adjustment before sending it to the printer, like adding some brightness or contrast, you could do that here as well. And so now you can choose to print one, or you can just send it off to the printer so that you can print multiple, or however you want to do that. And so lastly, we have this web module here, and it's giving us just a little tour here, and it allows us to create HTML or Flash web galleries that can be uploaded directly onto my website. And it's telling me about my layout style. I've got my templates over here. I can export it down here and publish it there. And so now I have this layout going on here, which I can change the way that that layout looks. For example, I have this here, and when I click the play button, I can kind of see how that's going to look. And so now I can come over here and I can customize this a lot. And so you can give it some information and give it a title, a collection title, and a collection description. And you can add your contact information and your email address. You can change the color palette of your layout here. And so you can see different parts of this up here are changing based off of the choices that we are making. This is working on the contact name. And so we can keep going through here now and customizing this to how we want it to look. And we have lots of options for this. And so we could keep going down through there and changing all of the colors. Again, we can decide whether we want it to have the identity plate or not, where we can have a site title. We can decide whether we want our pictures to be small, medium, large, or extra large, as well as the thumbnail sizes. We can take away the labels, we can leave the labels, we can add captions or take away the captions. Here we can decide what kind of metadata that we have, whether we have just the copyright information or all of it. Here we've got watermarking, and again we can come in here and we can choose our watermark that we had pre-made. Here you can choose the quality of your images and whether you want what kind of sharpening that you want, or you can uncheck the box and not have any at all. And here we have our upload settings, and we can add this to a folder to save it as well. And we have export here and upload. And so we can export this and save this somewhere into our computer, or we could upload it to our website. So we have all these different modules here, and they can all be very helpful in keeping us not only organized, but there's some really interesting functions that Lightroom has, like allowing us to upload the slideshows directly to our websites, being able to print straight out of Lightroom to make slideshows for family and friends to see, to be able to create books right here in Lightroom. It's just a lot of information, and it's really awesome that it is even possible. So Lightroom can be really awesome, and it can be so much fun to come in here and build these different slideshows, books, prints, and so on. So thank you for watching this video tutorial. Happy editing!